Well, they definitely want people to know this new system is coming, right? They're letting them know ahead of time before it arrives. And I think if we put two things together here, they make perfect sense. We read a couple of articles where representatives of some of these big companies were saying how there's some stalwarts. Remember that there's some companies, there are entities and individuals of the legacy system that still are holding out. They still don't want to participate. And a lot of these other top company people like this person here, we're going to read from in a second, head of digital assets at Citi Treasury and Trade Solutions, they're letting them know, hey, listen, this is coming. This is going to happen. We need to do it. All right. So they're warning. I think that's primarily who this is for. This is not for retail people. It's not for regular people. They're letting them know, hey, this is coming. We're going to do this. We have to do this. So now it begins here. It says Ryan Rugg, head of digital assets, Citi Treasury and Trade Solutions, Citi, said their clients, large multinationals, and once again, we've been talking about this. This is who's taking over crypto behind the scenes. This is who wants to use the utility of distributed ledger technology. Large multinationals. Now, wait, let's keep going because it gets interesting. It says their clients, large multinationals, want this. If that is so, what does that mean for the price of any native tokens of companies who have been making a ton of partnerships over this last few years and may have a lot of partnerships to announce and unleash at the time where crypto gets absolute clarity, which looks like it's going to be near? There's a lot of changes happening within these regulatory bodies, right? So that could be very soon. But what does it do to that price if large multinationals who have billions to trillions of dollars are going to be heavily involved in moving capital over these systems? Think not, just wait, they're going to tell you. It says here, they're actively requesting it. Well, another thing we can deduce is if they're requesting it, they don't have it yet. If they're requesting it, they probably don't want to put it together themselves. They want who to put it together? The private sector. This is how a lot of these, not only companies, but governments behave. They're lazy. They don't want to put it together themselves. They want an easily deploy product that the private sector puts together and they can just press a button and deploy and control very easily. That's what they want. And let me tell you something right now. There's a lot of value in providing that. All right. So now it says, quote, they are thinking about the future of networks. They want always on infrastructure. They are asking for it just in time and programmable. Multi-bank, multi-border liquidity at the speed of the internet. Now, wait a minute. Multi-border. This is something that in this article, which is on payments, cards, and mobile.com. All right. It's titled CBDC and digital currency valuable assets. That's the title of the article. OK. Multi-border is something that they're going to emphasize a lot throughout this. They want global reach. Here's the problem. And I want to continue to iterate this because they continue to bring it up. The reason they're bringing it up is because it's something they lack right now. That's where we can make a lot of capital, in my humble opinion, not financial advice. But if these bank coin companies are wise, Quant, Ripple, Stellar, Flare, Chainlink, Solana, etc., if they're wise, then they're going to attack that point and with advertising within the meetings and say, listen, we have the solution. We've had it for years. It's only getting better. We have true global reach. We can send your money anywhere, across any border, without a problem. We're neutral. Nobody is taking offense to us, and they would remain that way, and that will make your company very, very successful. But that also will bring a lot of value to those native tokens, right? Is that logical? Okay, they don't have it. That's why they're searching for it. Now, with increased geopolitical tension, pay attention to the geopolitical tension, geopolitical problems. A lot of these countries are at each other right now. Everybody wants to be at the top. Everybody wants to be the king. Nobody wants to be the lesser. Okay, that's causing increased fragmentation, just like Janet Yellen said. I don't agree with a lot with Janet Yellen, but on that, I believe that individual was correct. Increased fragmentation means they're not going to work with each other. They're going to have their own infrastructures, which is another thing they say here. If they're all going to have their own customized infrastructures and they don't link together, They don't have interoperability. You're going to need something to link them together if they're going to achieve this goal of having this global reach. But let's continue on here. It says, frustrated at having huge sums of money pending due to differences in time zones, working hours, banking holidays. These are serious customers. Quote, who will actually leave the bank if someone offers them better liquidity, better hours elsewhere, unquote. What does that tell you? This is another reason why you had the banks and the bankers screaming, oh, let's put some regulations on the NBFIs. Now they're pushing this idea after having said things like that. Oh, well, who was it? Was it the Fed saying, hey, now we may have to do some things with the NBFIs. Let's bring them on in. Let's do some special things with them, same that we do with banks. Yeah, because that would limit the NBFIs, which the banks can't compete with. If these large multinational individuals, this is who they're talking about, are willing to leave their banks, then they're easily looking to go elsewhere, right? So now, when we're looking at the new financial system, we can provide liquidity better than anyone, especially in the future, because we can tap into cash and bring cash piles in, bring liquidity in from areas that they just can't reach. That's number one. We have the interoperability. We have the smart contracts. We have the AI. We have everything. Everything. We're even some of these chains are even quantum proof, which is going to be huge. I'm hoping that you saw a lot of these articles come out lately. I'm not sure if I posted some of them. I believe I did, but where these banks are constantly getting hacked. The other day you just had a bunch of banks get their debit card information stolen. Did you see that article, right? So they don't have the security. So if they can get hacked with regular means, what is a quantum computer going to do? It will rip them apart. But with us, some of our blockchains, this was 2 years ago. Some of our bank coin blockchains are already quantum proof. So that way we have security that they don't have. We have everything to dominate. We have everything that will lead me to believe that these prices are going to explode, that when there is absolute clarity, and it looks like it's very, very near, that we could just run wild with partnerships. I just don't see why not. The rest is up to the companies. To be quite honest, the rest is up to them. So now, it says City's tokenized platform built using the ERC token. Sorry, I had to pull down my holster. That's what I'm doing here like this. I'm pulling it down because it rides up sometime when I'm leaning forward. So now, City's tokenized platform built using the ERC token is currently fully live between New York and Singapore and will accommodate, i.e., be fully fungible in the future for tokenized bonds, equities, and other assets. Quote, it is not just in some virtual, intangible realm of DeFi web. Not the case at all, DiCaprio asserted. It says, one thing to bear in mind, as Anthony Day, head of strategy and marketing, Midnight, pointed out, is that there are some businesses that get shut down in this scenario. Those that trade on currency, liquidity, providing credit services in those pending time periods. Here's the thing about that. That's not our problem. As a business, any business, you must adapt and evolve, right? The industries change all the time. There's always something new added, some little quirk added or mechanism added, and we must adapt and evolve. They could easily adjust and congeal with the new financial system easily. They could easily employ AI services and systems. They're not expensive, not just yet. They'll probably get there in the future, especially as we approach the deployment at some point in the near future of AGI, artificial general intelligence, things of that nature. There's so many ways to adjust to this. Some of the DLT systems are open sourced. You could build on that, right? At very, very little cost. So, it's up to them. So in that way, it's not something we can be concerned with. This is the natural evolution of the financial system is what we're looking at right now. And there's too much money on the table for regular people. Right? There's going to be a lot of new millionaires made from regular people. That's number one. Already some people are making tons and tons of capital right now. They've been doing it for a few weeks now. That's nothing compared to what is to come. Just my humble opinion, not financial advice. That's number one. So regular people, there's a lot of money to be made, value to be made. Companies, there's even more value to be made. So what does that mean? That means this is not going to be stopped for anything. Maybe before, when it was heavily dominated by retail, it could have been stopped. And there may have been more incentive to stop it. Sure, they slowed it down. That's just so they can get in position. And they've gotten into the best position they possibly can. I'm not talking about like as far as holding like Bitcoin or something. I'm talking about the utility aspect. They got into the best position that they can. And now they're starting to see that they need the new financial system a little bit more than they would have anticipated. This is what I'm gathering. This is why you hear all of them, many of them, saying things like, we need to catch up. We're far behind. We're very much behind. All of this verbiage we've heard from articles and representatives of the central banking system over the last few months. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason they're saying that. They're conceding. And then also you've heard over the years, even up to recently, them saying the private sector should lead the way. There you have it. They're literally handing the info to you. Now, is there any guarantee in it? No. We have to wait to see what the future holds. But right now, if we're going to go by what they're saying, the future is extremely bright. Extremely bright. So if people are having fun now, then they should love what's to come in the future. And that's not without struggle. Sure, there's going to be ups and downs. But that means overall, long term, there is a much brighter future than I think most are anticipating. Now, let's go here. It says moving away from banking to governments and central banks. What are the assets that are most likely to be tokenized at scale soonest? This is one misnomer to get away from is the automatic perception that it is assets that need to be translated into digital form. This is a natural mindset based on the system today. But as DiCaprio pointed out, it becomes very hard to reconcile a physical representation and a digital one. I mean, I would like to see the progress that has happened with the so-called physical NFTs, physical and digital NFTs. Has there been progress there? I haven't been keeping up with that. But for some time now, they've had enough time to make some progress for sure on that. We'll get back to that at another time because that definitely would affect this clearly, right? It says, quote, because if they've sheared that up and made it much simpler and much easier, then I don't think that there's going to be a lot of difficulty, at least not from what we provide in the private sector. I don't think there's going to be a lot of difficulty to reconcile a physical representation with a digital one. I just don't, especially not for companies. Companies who should be doing everything by the book and have everything logged in. It should be even easier for companies than it is for individuals. That makes sense, right? Quote, where we're really seeing progress is around tokenizing value. How can we take, for example, securities and tokenize those away from physical goods and towards value, unquote. I'm looking at it in a different way. I'm going to tell you honestly, I think they're trying to stay very much away from talking about the tokenization of untapped commodities. I do. I just see that and I don't understand why that's not being discussed more. Not that I don't understand, but I believe they're doing that on purpose. They don't want people to know that a lot of those commodities, and yes, I'm going to go towards gold and silver, et cetera. I'm going to stay away from oil and things like that for now because it serves this purpose in an example better. All right. And yes, the values of all of those other things we already see testing being done or have been done with the tokenization of value of things like rice and, certain agricultural things. We already know about that. So, but let's go here to the gold and silver, things like that in the ground that are untapped. That can be tokenized. That value can be moved even without moving the things that are in the ground. You don't think that that's highly advantageous or that these big money people see that? They would love to play with something before it's even available, right? They will love to own it before it's even available. Now, could they do that with traditional means? Yes, but with great difficulty. With these new offerings, they can do it very easily. That's going to be huge, could be huge. Now, I think that will be done in a private ecosystem, but private ecosystems greatly benefit us. If you're going to in a private ecosystem, let's take like XRP, for example, XRPL, private ecosystem. You have to take an allotment of XRP, have it in that ecosystem flowing around, have it operate at its most optimal point, number one. So now XRP is becoming more rare by doing that. And we have a bunch of large companies doing that. I'm just saying an if scenario. Also, they have to have a certain amount of XRP to even have an account or have a wallet, whatever that is, right? So then there's that as well. Then with all of this value flowing back and forth, whether we're talking about the tokenization of commodities, one, interbank payments flowing across, two, we got B2B and all types of cross-border payments, remittances. That's extra. We have payroll possibly at some point in the future. I think that's going to be huge. I think that only is not being discussed and expanded upon because of the regulatory environment. But a lot of companies would love to have payroll on the blockchain, for sure. Then there's the auditing. There's a governmental auditing aspect. We'll talk about that another time, right? So then there's things like that. So it would greatly affect the value, and theoretically speaking, of the native tokens. There's so much we could talk about, and they're always giving us something new. As I said, we're hearing this from Citi and a few other big entities here. It says, and how to support trading both of physical and digital goods that can't coexist on an exchange that is both digital and regular. So this confirms, this statement here confirms they're going to have to fully integrate with the new financial system, just like I've been saying all these years. This is coming from Dr. Elisa DiCaprio, chief economist at R3. That's who we heard a few times quote certain things after we read the few lines from the city representative. And this is what DiCaprio has to say, quote, systems are currently based on paper and can only be upgraded so many times before they're completely outdated. Tokenization changes the game from upgrading to expanding, unquote. This in turn opens up to different systems, including internationally. In this way, it becomes clear that the infrastructure is the game changer, the infrastructure, the utility. Because although the use cases tend to converge upon the instruments, the assets, it is really the movement of those assets that counts. It's the blockchain infrastructure that, quote, is going to finally help us stop using this traditional infrastructure. So I love parts like this. It's almost like they're trying to help me end this chapter. Remember, I said that what you know of as the old financial system is going to end, and there's going to be the new financial system. It's a new age, a new era. Everything will be a part of it. Everything will be absorbed by it. It will be the dominant. And here you have this esteemed individual at R3 telling you the same thing. Chief economist, if everything is going on the chain and we believe that the Bankcoin blockchains are the best of the best right now, we have Ripple, you got Quant, you got a lot of these, Solana, Chainlink, etc. What does it do to them to have so much value flowing through them at some point? What does it do to them, the prices of those particular things on them, to have them be a dominant infrastructure in the world? And when does that occur? This article is titled Bitcoin Spoofing Drives BTC Price to $97,000 Amid Record Profit Taking. Wasn't it a little higher than that? I could have sworn it was a little higher than that. They mean it drove it down? Was I seeing things? Bitcoin sellers, whether genuine or not, are refusing to allow a $100,000 Bitcoin price milestone. What was the high the other day? Bitcoin, currently $97,000, $97,461, headed toward a, quote, pivotal low, unquote, on November 24th, as manipulative traders sought to keep $100,000 out of reach. I don't see it like that, but maybe that's what's happening. I see it as massive profit taking, which I said was going to happen. I think you can see that clear as day, logically. People have been starved for making some Bitcoin money for a long time. They're going to take profit. $100,000. A lot of people don't believe it's going to go too much further beyond that, even though I do. A lot of people don't believe that. They're not going to take the chance. I understand that completely. So I anticipate the most vicious profit taking over the next year, the likes of which nobody has seen. It is going to happen quickly. I'm surprised it took this long for some significant profit taking to occur. I'm very surprised. But it says this. Data from Cointelegraph Markets Pro and TradingView showed a Bitcoin price action heading closer to $97,000 after struggling to beat out sellers immediately below $100,000. Bitcoin/USD saw order book spoofing return to exchanges over the weekend. This came in the form of walls of ask liquidity placed in such a way as to entice the market lower towards support. Quote, ask liquidity moving lower with a price 99.5K to 99K ask walls. It says fresh ask wall right above here, right above price here, which likely was removed already, spoofing on the ask, unquote. Popular trader Skew explained in his latest market analysis on X, quote, this spoofing, often in illiquid hours, forces bots to sell, leading to lower prices, unquote. All right, so now let's move on here. Now I have 2 articles left. Actually, I have 3, but I'm going to skip one. We have a banking article, and then we have a pro crypto article. Let's go with the pro crypto article because I feel this is more proof that there is a crypto, possibly a crypto golden age coming, of where most of these top crypto are going to remain very bullish and could be very profitable for people. Not financial advice. It's just my humble opinion. That's all. Pro crypto shift as at the SEC begins as anti-crypto commissioner steps down after Gary Gensler resigns. So once again, more things are leaning in our favor. The SEC's anti-crypto grip falters as Commissioner Lizarraga and Chair Gensler exit, clearing the path for a pro-crypto revolution in the U.S. markets. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. It would be unbelievable to have such an environment after so long. All of us are ready. The retail is ready. The companies are ready for this. So hopefully all the best will occur. U.S. Securities Exchange Commission Commissioner Jamie Lizarraga has announced his intention to step down from the agency on January 17, 2025. In a statement issued on November 22nd, Lizarraga explained that his decision was driven by family priorities as his wife, Kelly, faces significant health challenges. He wrote, until my departure in January, I will remain fully engaged in the commission's ongoing work and activities. I don't yet know what comes next, but I do know that it has been a great honor to serve as SEC commissioner. After 34 years in public service, he emphasized the need to focus on his family's future while expressing hope for Kelly's full recovery. He thanked President, then he goes into some political stuff there. So there, listen, there's a lot of good things leaning in our favor right now. I believe things are going to be very bright and brilliant. The top cryptos are looking very healthy as far as respect, partnerships. In the mainstream, I'm very surprised. Just a little bit. I've seen just a little bit. I don't watch a whole lot of mainstream, but I see little clips here and there. You know, when I'm on things like sometimes YouTube, I'm on TikTok more when I want to watch a video or something like that. Because it's very quick and I have so much stuff to do. I want to swipe real quick. And I've never gotten used to YouTube shorts, right? So I just go on TikTok, swipe real quick. But I see little clips from the mainstream media and I see some article coverage from the mainstream media on crypto. And so that's how I know that they're beginning to cover crypto positively, little by little. It's not major from what I've seen, but little by little, positively. Because they've always had anytime in the past that I've seen them talk about crypto is very negative, of course, so this is good. The energies are changing is what it means. If what I'm seeing is correct, because what you see may be something completely different. So now I want to jump here because we do have enough time just to squeeze this little bit in here. This tiny little article here. This article is titled Reserve Bank of India expanding cross-border payments platform. According to the Atlantic Council, 134 countries are currently exploring CBDCs in different phases, including every G20 country. I like to keep my eye on India. I've kept my eye on India for years now. Why? Because most of our bank coins have some sort of dealings there. Stellar is in India. Things like a CC Bank, Algorand is in India. I'm not sure if they're there directly or via Koi banks. I'm not sure. It's been some time. Ripple is active or was active in India. So I watched them closely. Then on top of that, if you remember Christopher Waller's statement, always is going to stay in my mind when he told India that he thought as a federal representative that they should wait on the private sector. And then he referenced someone in the private sector that had over 600 banks. It sounded a lot like to me that he may be speaking about Ripple. But, he didn't say that, but it sounded like that. The number of banks is so close to what people were reporting years ago when they were, this is what they used to say. that Ripple has something like 300 or 400 banks. This is what they said. All right. You got to verify that on your own, do your own research. OK. But because of that, it just sounds so closely related. So when I see something happening with India or the banking system of India going digital, it immediately grabs my attention. The Reserve Bank of India is seeking to expand its cross-border payments platform, right? See, which will allow instant settlement by adding new trading partners in the Asia and Middle East regions. Here's the thing that's interesting about that to me. This is clearly going to be siloed. They're a part of the BRICS nations. We're not sure where BRICS nations is going to go at this time. Local digital currencies seem to be their focus, but then there's always been confusion. I said this before. There's always been confusion within the BRICS nation because there's too many of them that just want power. They all want to be, many of them want to be number one. China wants to be number one. India wants to be number one. Russia wants to be number one. So they're going to have competing systems to maintain the power and position that they believe that they have, which equals siloed systems, which means they're going to need connector pieces as well. The entirety of the world is going to need connector pieces at this point. They all need each other. No matter how delusional these governments want to be, they need each other. So who can provide that infrastructure, a neutral global infrastructure that can go across all borders, the new financial system. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.